Welcome, everyone. This is our webinar on the Yoga Teacher Training Program at Maharishi International University, and we're so happy you're here. And our main topic is about going deeper than a standard 200-hour program. So we're looking at a deeper path to teaching yoga. And before we get started, we want you to know that if you want the closed captioning option, you can click CC to turn that on. So this is coming from Maharishi International University, which is an accredited nonprofit university, and we're accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. So before we get started, I want to give you a little intro to our university. We're very unusual in that we've been here for a while, and we're the only ones pioneering something called consciousness-based education. And the founder is Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who's probably most well known for being the meditation teacher for the Beatles, but he's also the founder of our university. And from the very beginning, it was a mission to offer opportunities for growth and personal transformation while getting a college degree. And consciousness has two main connotations. One is that it's the idea that consciousness is sort of the essence of our being, and it's something that can be cultivated. So you can expand consciousness, you can develop consciousness, and it's a very practical aspect of meditation. We actually promote a very specific type of meditation called transcendental meditation. And so everyone in our community learns it and we practice it together. And then the other meaning of consciousness is that of an underlying field of creative intelligence that we can experience and enliven when we meditate. So there's a lot more to this, but the main purpose is just to give you a sort of paradigm of understanding from which we're going to now go into our specific topic today, which is yoga teacher training. So many people who are interested in yoga probably already have some very, maybe more spiritual interest, or certainly have an understanding of the potentials for personal growth when you're embarking on a yoga path. And so we're going to be describing to you today a very exciting yoga teacher training program that has developed in the last couple years. And there are other features on our website that show you the sort of lifestyle and principles and holistic commitment to development of self and environment that has long been promoted at our university. So if you were to stop at our website, you would see all these different areas of value to us. Okay, some more practical points. We want you to know that financial aid is available, and more than 90% of our students receive extensive financial aid. So you could complete your FAFSA at fafsa.gov to see how much you would qualify for. And there's a financial aid calculator on the website, and it only takes 10 seconds, and it'll give you a fairly accurate estimate of how much you would be able to apply towards your education. Well, we're going to switch over to first introducing you to Meredith Hart. So Meredith, go ahead and you can turn on your video, and I'm going to do a little introduction to our program director. And if you didn't get to answer the questions, you can just put on the chat, your reason for coming here. So, okay, so this is Meredith Hart, and Meredith has been teaching yoga since 1999 with a deep focus on pain and stress management. She's a certified international yoga therapist, a licensed massage therapist, and a teacher and trainer in yoga, Ayurveda, and holistic healing. So she holds the master's degree in science in Maharishi, Master of Science in Maharishi Ayurveda in integrative medicine. And she has a background in transpersonal psychology and Western herbalism. So she's especially passionate about integrating holistic approaches into modern healthcare. So here at MIU, she's been on faculty. She's part of the core faculty for the College of Maharishi Vedic Science. And she's been serving as the program director for the yoga teacher training program. And so what she has here is a yoga teacher program of the highest standards with a deep background in the Vedic sciences. And she has this background in yoga therapy. So you're really going to be getting deep understanding of the anatomical foundations of yoga practice. And so this is one of the strongest yoga teacher training programs you can find. And it's also very well established in consciousness, the whole core mission of the university. So I'm going to hand it over to Meredith to get us started and to describe for us how to go beyond a 200-hour yoga teacher training.
Thank you, Karen. Um, I always wonder how I'm going to start these kinds of conversations because I just feel like there's always so much to say and also such little time. But I will share with you that I went through several yoga teacher training programs as well as an international yoga therapist certification program and built my practice and my business over the past 25 years. And I built this program so that you don't have to try to figure it out the way I did, both with developing your skills as well as developing your professional practice as a teacher. So, what I would like to do is we can talk about the logistics of the program later, but I would really like to highlight some of the students that have graduated as well as current students in the program and hear from them. So, should I just pick out one person at a time, or how should we do this?
Yes, and let's have everybody turn on their videos so we can see everyone here. We've got a nice full assembly of students, alumni, and TA, future professors. So yeah, go ahead, Meredith, and yeah, you know them best, so go ahead.
I think where I would like to start first is those of you who have already completed a yoga teacher training previously, and then you also went through the program at MIU. And I'd like you to share how you feel about the program, some takeaways from the program, and what you're up to now. So maybe Rose, you could start.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rose, and I have gone through two different 200-hour teacher trainings. And so when I saw this program, I was like, okay, do I really need another 200 hour? Like maybe I need to kind of build beyond. But that's exactly like I love the title of this, like beyond, was it going beyond the 200 hours? And it really is. It's one of when I got the manual, I was just blown away. Like I had never seen anything like it. Just the manual itself, I was like, wow, this program is incredible. And going through it, I'm still going. I don't know. I'm like a little over halfway now, and my experience has it's been profound the way it's changed my practice and my relationship to my own practice and then my teaching skills as well. I went through a pretty big hiatus with yoga where I felt kind of like my yoga had failed me in a sense. I was getting all these injuries. I wasn't really confident in my teaching because of that. Like I wasn't very embodied. I felt like I was performing yoga. And um, yeah, I felt a little lost in the yoga world. So when I found this program, I truly felt that embodiment and that confidence and that trust in the knowledge that I was learning, and then also my ability to share the process that Meredith teaches just gives you the most solid foundation. And I'm so grateful. I wish I would have had this as my first training, but here we are. So thank you, Meredith.
Yeah, let me just say one little thing about that is that, wherever you are in your journey, it's the perfect timing. So even if you've had a lot of experience already and you're coming in, it's just going to take you where you need to go, which is deeper in your own individual perfect way. So, um, you know, no regrets, right?
Yeah.
Haley, you want to share your experience?
Yeah, just echoing Rose, and what came to me was the experience of it all. It's as I progressed through the program, I have also completed a 200-hour teacher training program and continuing education just throughout my own experiences. What really brought me to this specific one is that I'm constantly looking for more depth in my life, both spiritually, both physically, and And this yoga practice really just drives you in. It just drives you into yourself. And every class allowed me to experience what it was that I was learning as I was going. So in my other 200 hour, it was great, but I did feel like I was trying to cram information in and not truly embody the work. And so at the end of it, I was wondering what was I going to do with all of this information. Of course, you find your niche and you follow it. I think what sets this apart is that you're allotted the time to actually implement the information as you are working through it. And you're doing it within a community that you're growing with. And I truly appreciated this because I am an online student, so I was able to do it right from my home as a stay-at-home mom and navigate those little intricacies of being an online student who really, really wanted this information. So this program is really beautiful, and I appreciate Meredith so much because the program continues to grow and expand, and there's little intricacies that are being developed even as the program is being developed. So it's a really amazing time to get in and learn from this group of teachers.
Yeah, we're all growing, right? So we're kind of in on it together. And as we grow and develop, the program grows and develops. So it's such a joy to have everybody along for the ride. And I just want to find out from you, Haley, about your current classes and how that's going, and how are your students responding to the work? Can you comment on any of that?
Of all of the feedback that I've received, the number one is how easily they were able to drop in. And we do hold space for a meditation at the end of practices. And without a doubt, every single one of them have said that they were able to get into silence in a way that they have never felt before after practicing these asanas. And that's such a it's such a rare thing in the yoga community because, like Rose was saying, it's sometimes acrobatic and performing. And so to be able to just be in your body exactly as it is and to tailor the pose to the person is a really wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yay, I love that they're getting so much benefit by working with you. That's so awesome. Courtney, do you want to share your work since you're teaching and you graduated a couple of years ago? Tell us about yourself and, what you're up to.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of teaching now. And the one great thing about this yoga program at MIU is I've been able to take everything I've learned, and no matter what class I'm teaching, even if it isn't, just a truly based Maharishi set of the asanas, it's very easy to integrate everything you learn into whatever you teach, even if you're just talking to someone about yoga. And just allowing all of that information to come through. For me, yoga was how I made my body feel better. And then it kind of started, connecting my mind a little more. And there were still those two extremes, right? Of like the body and the mind. And that third thing is really the consciousness. And I think that's where this program is truly unique. And for me, having ADHD, there was always, how do I integrate and like make my life easier? How do I not have to think so hard all the time just to constantly get through the day? And for me, it meshed a lot of that, took away a lot of, mental inconsistencies for me. And for me in teaching, I teach my style to my students as much as I can, because if I'm teaching it to myself or if I'm learning it for myself, I want to teach that to other people because it's obviously working for me. And the feedback that I get a lot from my classes is like, this is a little different, but I love it. And I love how I can leave this class truly refreshed. I mean, I constantly have people coming up to me just saying, thank you for that. Like, I really, really needed that. You said the right things. You were quiet when you needed to be quiet. And that really helped me leave this room, just a totally different person. So That's something that I feel really fortunate to have learned. And, I've only been teaching, technically for 2 years, but I've been practicing, probably for about 15. And having this program has made my personal practice different. It's made me a truly special teacher. Like, you're never going to find another teacher quite like me in this area just because of my training, my education, and, how I approach different classes, different people, how I allow, a lot of that element of consciousness to come in and just getting people into their bodies and then revisiting the mind and the landscape and then how do we put it together, and I'm able to do that for my students, and it's really great. It's been a great time and a great journey.
That's awesome. What made you decide to do the program at MIU since you have all of those years of experience and practice, and instead of just doing like a local YTT down the street? Because there are so many of those everywhere. I mean, it's such a wonderful thing in a way that yoga is everywhere, but why MIU?
There's so much traditional knowledge of the Vedic sciences in this program, going into the Sanskrit elements of it a lot, learning more about how this is not just about the postures and the movement and the breathing. Yeah, that's all super great. But like, how do we take this from the mat, from a classroom, from a space where we're just practicing every day for however long, and turn it into something that transforms your life outside of that room? And I knew already from how I was studying with the different coursework for my Ayurvedic program at MIU that this was going to be really special. And I already knew I didn't want a cookie cutter, run of the mill yoga experience with teacher training, because there really is probably not another program like this at all. And I knew that it was going to hit the points. And I've probably waited for the right teacher program for probably 8 years. You know what I mean? Because I just knew, and I kept researching and looking at programs and also pricing too. It's like, okay, what am I getting for the price and the value? And what is it that I really want? And I knew that MIU was going to deliver on that more traditional science element. And what are the roots of all this learning? Because I think it's a little detached. And that's something that MIU as well is bringing back to the table, is like, how do we keep the roots of yoga from the East? How do we integrate those elements in ways in the modern day that are, relevant? And, they already do this at their campus. So it just worked perfectly for everything that I really wanted out of my training.
Awesome. So you went through the Ayurveda program, the undergraduate Ayurveda program, and then you added the yoga on. So
It just made sense. It was just perfect. I mean, I was like, I was already learning with the campus and the university online. And I just knew it wasn't going to be like some run of the mill program. It was going to be super special just because I had already been with the school. But if I were to have learned about it coming in from the outside, I could probably still pick up on those elements. Because, like I said, I've been researching programs for a while and just been waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was like, it just felt right. I knew it, within my own embodiment, my soul. So I'm glad I said yes. And it only took me a little bit longer, and I was able, to get what I needed for the financing. So that part of it also made sense for me too. But yeah.
Yeah, then the wonderful thing about the program is that you can add it on to any degree program. And so I'd like to hear from Maria and Tessa, because you're current students right now, and what programs you're in besides the yoga specialization, and also hear about your experience right now in the program and how that's going for you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Mendoza, and right now I'm currently enrolled in Bachelor in Applied Art and Science with Ayurveda and Yoga Specialization. There are so many wonderful things to talk about this experience. Um, in my own journey, it took me, I don't know how many years. If I tell you, probably I will take the whole hour here. But one of the biggest, I would say, elements that brought me, I guess, to this program is my own journey with health, my family, and this program have helped me to understand the basics of our not only our structure as a human being, but also how everything is integrated, body, mind, um, so many other elements that how externally we are integrated also with the environment. Not only that, but always the concept of yoga for me. Previously, I was practicing hatha yoga. And to be honest, yes, I was able to do it when I was 20 years old. But then now I'm 40, well, 44, and not 40. And it has been almost wonderful to come back at my own pace, meeting myself where I am, and not looking at those superficial trends that we are exposed, but more integrating our own nature of age. And also, I don't know, there is so many things wonderful about this experience in MIU. I have personally a very supportive community. Tessa, Meredith, Hilly, Rose, so many wonderful people that I actually feel very supported. And Meredith can tell my own experience teaching, just as a student, and it had been very rough, dual language. So Spanish is my first language. So not only I found very supportive community, but also people that are with your own values, it's a whole connection. It's everything that you can wish for. So that having my experience and being in MIU, it was even wonderful. So many crazy things happen, but very good crazy things. So I think the experience overall it have been amazing. Yeah, it was worth to wait. 44.
And one thing I just want to say is that in the program you start teaching, and I just want to highlight, Maria, that you were teaching in Spanish online. So you were doing, two things that technically you hadn't learned yet, and you just jumped right in. And how many students were you having each week? And like 10
It
or
was supposed to be 3. It went all the way to 7, then 8,
yeah.
dropped back to 7, but it was
Oh.
challenging online, but yeah, it was excellent experience.
Yeah, that's a big part of the program, is just to kind of set you free and give you the mentorship support that you need so you can begin teaching, um, and have my support and the community support as you navigate, whatever is happening. So thank you, Maria. Tessa,
Thank
do
you.
you want to share what's happening for you and your, the program that you're in, and the yoga teacher training program that you're also enrolled in and experiencing?
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Tessa. I'm currently enrolled for my undergrad in Ayurvedic and Integrative Wellness with a yoga focus. I initially came to MIU for the Ayurvedic practitioner track, and throughout that, because there's a foundation of consciousness, I was able to kind of get in touch with my needs better. And I felt that taking a much more somatic approach to my education was going to help me the most. And it turns out that's absolutely right. I have not taken a yoga teacher training previously. This is my first course, and I feel like that's really special because even though I haven't been exposed to the kind of world of learning yoga before, you can tell that it's different. when you have a course that is based in, like, there's a foundation of consciousness, everything else comes together in a way that is almost outside of what you could even plan, truly. And I love this course and all these amazing women, and Meredith. Training with her is um, a pretty unique experience. She has such a wealth of knowledge. It's pretty incredible. And the community that we've been able to build together throughout this course is invaluable, in my opinion. And what I really love about it is that this type of yoga that Meredith has created truly does meet each person where they're at. I'm sure many of you have an experience like I do where you go to a yoga class and you almost leave feeling like, gosh, did I even do what I was supposed to do? Like there's this achievement that you need to get to. And with this particular type of yoga, that's just almost non-existent. It really is just an efficient modality to, like Haley was mentioning, to just really turn inward and drop into yourself. And that is, I think, in essence, what everyone is looking for on these kinds of paths, right? And there's a lot of healing to be had in that, which is another reason I was drawn to yoga in the first place. And that happens through these techniques and with that foundation of the consciousness element and expanding that within yourself and in your life. And I just don't know that you would find this anywhere else. I feel very fortunate to have found this at the right time. It's funny how that timing kind of works out. Like Courtney was mentioning, you just are open to what you need, and it comes together in a way that, a lot of the time you can't even plan for. And so I still am in my coursework, but I'm also going to start teaching already next month. So it's not this kind of, you have to finish all of these things and then you can get to the next step. It's you're integrating all of this at the same time and you begin living what you're learning. And that is just essential, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I'm very happy with the choice I made to do this and with all these amazing people who are part of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Tessa. And I can't do it alone. So I have a wonderful team of teachers that come in and give guest lectures. And, most of you are coming in the program with the Ayurveda track or some, degree program with Ayurveda. But we do also encourage other students from other degree programs to apply, including the MACHP students, that's the Consciousness and Human Potential students. And essentially, as you learn how to practice and how to teach what you know from the inside with this new development of skills, you also learn who your students are and how to talk to them, how to teach them, how to bring the knowledge to them according to where you stand. So if you are a master's in consciousness and human potential student, then you would be bringing in that wealth of knowledge in Maharishi Vedic Science. If you're an Ayurveda student, you're going to be bringing in all of that knowledge into your classes. So you can really individualize your offering to, not only to your community, but also like who you are, because your classes are an expression of you and what you're here to do, what your dharma is, what your path is. Which obviously, if you're going to be enrolling in the program, it's, sharing the practices of yoga, but also the knowledge of yoga, which is a huge, wonderful topic. So with that with that being said, I think I'll just kind of segue into the nuts and bolts of the program, because there are always so many questions, especially about Yoga Alliance. But I'm going to first talk about the program itself. The courses run from August through June. It's 18 credit hours, academic credit hours. So it's a tuition-based program that you can add on to your degree. And the contact hours are 1,000 hours. Most yoga teacher training programs are 200 hours. And Yoga Alliance, they have two kind of categories of trainings. They have like a 200-hour level. They have a 500-hour level. And we have to think about these credentials with Yoga Alliance as a way to understand that they're trying to help yoga teachers keep people safe and to be ethical. And so they have basic requirements, and this program goes above and beyond. No other program out there is going to give you like a full-on Bhagavad Gita course or a full-on business course in developing your practice or like clinical anatomy. They're going to brush through a lot of those topics so you have those basic skills to keep people safe, but they're not going to help you really develop how to actually teach others and how to speak from your heart and how to be yourself as you bring this knowledge and the practices to others. So that's kind of the basic of what we're doing here. And at the end, you will get a certificate, once you complete the program and pass successfully, you'll get a separate certificate that says that you're certified at the 1,000-hour level and that you're credentialed at the 200-hour level with Yoga Alliance. So some of you who are already RYT 200s with Yoga Alliance, you're probably going to be like, well, why would I do another 200-hour level? I need a 500-hour level now. And in the end, you just have to, inquire into yourself and figure out what really matters. Sometimes the credentials do matter where you want that RYT 500, then go for that. And sometimes it's more the knowledge that you really care about and how you're actually showing up in your communities and in your studios and wellness centers and how you're working with people. And that's more important. And there's no right or wrong. It really is just a personal decision. And if you ever need to, we can have a personal call and I can help you navigate that process too. So let's see, what else should I mention, Karen? Do you have any burning questions?
Yeah, they're coming through the chat. So we've got people here that aren't students who are interested in either a bachelor's, but we also have a category, I think 2 or 3 that are currently students in MA level, and they just kind of want to know if there's any pointers on how to integrate that into their degree program.
Yeah, so I'll just start out with the students that are already at MIU for the master's CHIP students. So because you are students who are taking a deep dive into Maharishi Vedic Science, you're already way in there with all of this stuff. The knowledge is very deep, and the yoga teacher training gives you a practical tool in how to bring the knowledge into your community in kind of like bite-sized chunks. So you're not going to overwhelm anybody, but you're going to bring them in naturally and gently into the knowledge through yoga classes, workshops. You can have like Bhagavad Gita book clubs at the studio or center that you're at. I remember when I first started teaching, I had gone through, I think it maybe was my 3rd yoga teacher training, and I was so in love with the Bhagavad Gita. And I came running back to my yoga studio and I was like, oh, I want to teach a workshop on the Bhagavad Gita. Can't we just have like a book group? And they were like, no way. Nobody's going to want that. But you know what? That was 25 years ago. And what's happening now in the yoga studios is everybody is looking for more. They want, of course, the yoga asanas and the practices, but they are wanting the deeper knowledge of yoga because there's a lot of pain in the world. There's a lot of stress happening. There's a lot of, chaos happening in our, global environment. And this is a way to really bring that support at a kind of a fundamental elementary level and support your students in your community and their stress relief essentially. So, and to, connect them with their higher selves, because that is what people are wanting. So that's kind of, what you get to start to think about, how you are going to do that, how you're going to be bringing the knowledge to your communities. And the yoga asana practice is a perfect container. It's a perfect doorway to invite people into that.
So just curious, is it possible to build a business without that RYT 200 certification?
Yeah, that's a really good question. If you live in a remote area, you probably don't need it. You don't need the Yoga Alliance credential. Or if you're building your own studio or wellness center, I mean, you're the one who's going to be driving that bus. So you may not need that registration. You may not need that credentialing. But I will tell you that the majority of yoga studios and centers out there now, they require it. They want you to have that credential. And so that's why we jumped over all the hoops to make sure that that was lined up for you so that you have that way to get, good job placement.
And did you address how the 200 hours you are fulfilling that through the low residency? Did we talk about that yet?
Yes. So the primary mode for the 200 hours for the Yoga Alliance is satisfied in your immersion courses. So there are 2 of those in the program. The first one is in early December and the second one is in early April. So, and they're 2 weeks at a time. So you come to campus, you come to MIU and you stay on campus or you stay in an Airbnb and you dive right in. And I know all of you here could probably talk about those experiences because you've been through, let's see, at this point, all of them. And, we start early. We start at 7:30. We do our practices together. We have guest lectures in Ayurveda and anatomy and philosophy and business building and practice and practicing teaching. It's full on. But a wonderful, very just fulfilling time together.
So can you give it a little bit of a sense of let's say the sequence, how you learn how to sequence asanas or maybe even the number of asanas. I don't know if these are.
Yeah, we can talk about that too, sure.
Yeah.
So the first set is a classical set that is from Rishikesh area in India. And so basically what Maharshi did is he brought on, many yoga teachers, yogacharyas to help kind of revitalize it and slow it down and make it more consciousness based. So we have a lot of those principles threaded in through the entire program and approach. And then we've taken it a step further in the program where you learn how to adapt the poses so everybody can have an experience of each pose. Even if they can't do it, there's a way. And then in addition to that, in the second immersion, especially, we add on, I don't know, maybe 20 poses. So there's additional poses to learn how to sequence into that classical set, because the classical set is specifically downloaded, I'll say. It's very old sequence, and it's meant to target the areas of the spine to open the channels along the spine so that when you meditate, the prana, the energy is flowing through your central column and your meditations are much easier and simpler. So that's the whole goal of classical yoga. And then what we're doing here is we're just kind of remembering that, because in a sense, it's like, we all have that knowledge inside of us. So we're diving into that, remembering it, practicing it, and
unlocking the innate intelligence of the physiology. And I was noticing someone here saying like they're interested in it, but more for personal benefit. They don't have an interest in a business at this point. But I think what we're seeing is that taking a yoga teacher training is perhaps the richest way to develop your personal practice. So yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And you may decide to not teach, maybe you enter the program for those personal reasons. And by the end, you're like, I have to teach. I had so many changes and so much growth and so much evolution that there's no way I can't share this with others. And you also may be that person where you thought you were going to teach. And then at the end, you're like, oh, I really need this time to be with myself more. And I'm not going to teach. So it can go in any direction. And I just give you the invitation to not get yourself too locked into any sort of idea of what you think you need right now, because it will likely change as you evolve and grow. I mean, that's the nature, is that we're always evolving. So just be with yourself as you are.
Awesome. So we're going to transition just to a couple practical points about application, and then Meredith will stay on for a few extra minutes to address these final chat points. It just got really lively on the chat line. So, but let me do my little like closing bit in case any of you need to go, and then we'll continue with a few more questions. So, just practically speaking, we want you to know when you would be applying if you're brand new. Let's see what I have here. Okay. Okay, so this is pointing out that the next entry is August 2026, and that's for all programs. Whether you're interested in this as a bachelor's level or a master's level student, you can add the yoga teacher training to that. And that arrow is just showing you that every page has a very simple application process. So just click on that button. And tm.org, so this is the acronym for Transcendental Meditation, and it's a key feature of the technical aspects of developing consciousness. There are many meditation techniques out there, and they all do different things. Transcendental meditation is specifically designed to effortlessly allow the attention to settle easily towards the source of thought and cultivate that inner silence. And it's a great foundation for your life, but also for the degree program. And once you enroll and get accepted to be a student, you can learn it at no additional cost. It'll roll into your whole tuition package. So we encourage you to start ahead of time if you can, if you're really strong about being a student. And then if you go to tm.org, it can show you where your nearest TM center might be. So the Visit Fairfield piece, just in case you hadn't picked up on it, the university is located in Fairfield, Iowa, which is the southeast part of Iowa, about an hour from Iowa City. And so because it's a low residency program, you'll be coming here for two times during your training. And you can also just visit us anytime if you ever wanted to learn TM or an advanced technique, because we have the full suite of techniques here. And then in case you missed at the beginning, just remember that financial aid is available. And you can fill out the financial aid calculator if you want to get an estimate. And if you want to continue to get more information, maybe you want to take some time to think about it, there's additional webinars you could join. Every 2 weeks, we have a different feature. We also have visitors days if you want to come on a Saturday. So the next one is in May. Looks like May 2nd. And then meet your professor, but Meredith is here, so you can just talk to her directly if you want to follow up. And I'll show this again at the end, but if you wanted to grab the QR code, you can look at other topics. Some of them are more about the culture of the campus, and others are very specific to programs, but you're welcome to look at our replay list there. And so with that, I want to come back to some questions. I don't know, Meredith, if you had a chance to look at the chat, but
Not yet.
not yet. Okay. Oh, Haley's been taking a couple of them. Thank you.
Yes.
I guess there's logistical ones. You could show your slides if that would be a good time to just give the
What are they? So that I don't have to scroll through them all and try to figure out.
um
Oh,
well, there's one about pricing. I don't know if you have if you have
yes.
the breakdown.
It's a tuition-based program. So whatever the tuition rate is at MIU, and it's 18 credit hours for the program. And, there are some prerequisites, and obviously if you are in a degree program, you're adding this on. So there are other, credit hour, so the cost is part of the academic program. It's not a separate like YTT that you would find in a studio.
How about the pricing for the residence part? Is that included in folded?
Well, the tuition part is, yes. And then you have to pay for your travel and accommodations. We do have a student rate on campus at the Guest and Conference Center, which is pretty low, thankfully. And so you can stay there, and each room there has its own private bathroom, and it's very comfortable. And you'll basically walk up or down the stairs to the conference room where the trainings are. So it's very comfortable. So it's really getting to and from Fairfield, and then your accommodations you have to save up for. Make sure that you carve that extra financial expense. And if you're each immersion is in a different semester, so you can take out extra with your financial aid loans to cover those travel costs for each semester. So many students do that.
Okay, and again, if you're a current MA student, you would talk to your advisor. So if you're in the CHIP program, that would be Keith Wegman.
Yes.
Okay. How many total days to budget for? Okay, this is getting very granular.
Okay, so each in residency is essentially 2 weeks. So just budget for that. And you want to give yourself a little bit of time to arrive and a little bit of time to kind of slow down and get back home and re-enter. You don't, in my opinion, you don't want to jump right into a 15-hour drive and then try to acclimate. That can be hard on your system. But sometimes we have to do that too, right? Sometimes life requires that. So, do what you can to take care of yourselves before and after in getting to and from Fairfield.
And so the finance part is like this is offered through the degree program, so it's enfolded into your tuition cost, and then you pay extra for the travel and accommodation. And if you're not wanting a degree program, you would pay out of pocket for essentially the specialization. So, but that's a question more for financial aid to kind of work out the separate cost. Yeah.
Yeah. And you would still have an advisor to help you get registered for the courses because they are technically, academic. So, they will help you navigate all of that.
Yes. Okay. So is there anything else to direct them to, Meredith, for sort of like the next, let's say they're not quite ready for the August or like full commitment yet, and maybe you have another way to keep hosting a conversation or
We're currently rebuilding some pages on the website and ways to get involved online with workshops and ongoing online classes and things like that. So make sure that we have your email, and then we can be in touch with you as things start to, come into form in that way, so you can stay involved. You can also reach out to me if you need help navigating, any logistical questions, or even if you need help figuring out what your next steps are. I'm happy to help you with that. I used to be in the Ayurveda faculty, so I know that program fairly well still, although they've gone through some changes since I was over there. But, and I'm also, I know the Consciousness and Human Potential program quite well. And, as I like to say, MIU is such a wealth of wonderful subjects to study. And so if you're trying to figure out like what to do, I love those kinds of conversations. And I'm not attached to you doing the yoga teacher training program. So just come and talk and we'll connect and I can help you figure out your next steps.
So a little bit of advising slash counseling there. So that's very, very generous of you. And you don't, well, I guess you could put your email here, but you could just actually email Sana because we can't keep the chat line. So if Sana is at MVS at
Yes, you can put your email in there.
yeah. So write to Sana, we'll have your emails. Okay. I think that's good. I think that's a wrap.
Does anybody else want to share from the panel anything that I missed or that you want to,
A word of wisdom or advice to a prospective student?
Maybe you can just mention some of the courses. I know we didn't get a chance to actually look at the courses you offer through the year, but
Yeah, let me see if I can share. I think I still have it up. So I made this little slide that I used a couple months ago.
There you go.
So these are the first 5 courses here. Um, and it begins with more of an MVS approach, which is Maharshi Vedic Science. And you learn a little bit about the Yoga Sutras and your direct experience with listening to the sutras. And then we dive into some anatomy and physiology for yoga. And then this third course here, Yoga 421, this is kind of where we start with our practice and teaching skills. And then we have the immersion following that. And then we have bringing in Ayurveda as a teacher. And then after that, a mentorship course, learning how to teach and working with different bodies, different populations, things like this. And then you have the second immersion with more asanas and pranayam, deeper knowledge with Maharshi Vedic Science, Ayurveda, things like this. And then the last course is more about building your business and your business portfolio, professional yoga teacher portfolio. Basically, in that course, you're going to be building a program, and it could be online, it could be in person, it could be hybrid, and taking your students through lessons of knowledge and presenting that. So it's, I think it's a very integrative way to end because you'll be walking out with your diploma and your certificate with a lot of knowledge to share with others.
Yeah, it's remarkable to actually come out not just with the skill set, but with teacher's presence. Like wherever you go in your career, it's so valuable to be comfortable in front of a group of people and guiding them step by step into a very personal, transformative process. So, and I can see in every one of you very comfortable talking.
Well, as I like to say, I still get nervous when I teach, and I've been doing it for, 27 years now. It's just natural. And, to just be with ourselves when we're experiencing that. It's nothing
Mm-hmm.
than that.
All
Yeah.
right. Anybody want to say a final word or
No? Yes.
Haley? I don't know, you.
I'll just say that I really believe that this is the revival of yoga, and it's an honor to be a part of it.
Mhm. Yay.
That's huge. Wow. Beautiful.
I'd like to echo that as well as just speak to, I think when we come to something like this where we're being asked to take a big leap of faith, for example, like taking out financial aid or coming up with a cost for a program that feels a little larger than life, um, that you can have some faith that in the end it's not just about developing like a business or anything like that, but you're really developing yourself. And whether or not you take this and make it a career path or start to teach yoga, um, it's just gonna it's gonna unfold in every single aspect of your life. And I like want to cry right now because it really is transformational. And I just speak that from the bottom of my heart because it helps with parenting and it helps with, you know, everything. So yeah, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this today.
Beautiful. Yes, thank you so much. I'm so glad we asked for final points. So I think we can pretty much close for today, and I hope that those of you who attended are a part of our ongoing community. There's so many ways to continue to be a part of us, and we also hope to see you with us in our community on campus or online. With that, I'm going to just show the final QR code again if you wanted to look at any other webinars we posted. Thank you so much to our panelists and to Meredith. It was a very powerful session just being here with you all. There's the replay. All right, bye everyone. Thanks for joining us today.